All right, math friends, here we go. Congratulations on finishing up the first marking period and finishing up your second unit of Algebra 2. First thing you're going to do with your sub, warm up. You do that all on your own. The answer key for this whole worksheet is on Schoology, so you can check your answers after. I'm not going to show you how to do the warm-up because that's all a factoring review. So if you get stuck on that, just look at the answer key, talk to each other, and figure out what you need to do to get it. We're going to be starting a new unit, and it's all about polynomials. So polynomials are similar to quadratics, except instead of always being an x squared, we're going to have x to the thirds and x to the fourths and x to the fifths and so on. So the same way we started every unit or every section so far, we're going to work on adding, subtracting, and multiplying. These three are going to be really quick for us because you pretty much know how to do them, and they're all based around combining like terms. So I will show you one example of each. You will be responsible for filling out the rest on your own, and then you will move on to the next video where I show you all about dividing, and that's where it starts to get a little bit tricky. Alright, so let's do the first one. I am adding these two polynomials. If you notice, we're going to start looking for like terms right away. You have a 3x squared here, and you have a negative 2x squared here. Since it's just a plus in the middle, you're really just combining like terms, and you don't need the parentheses. So 3x squared and negative 2x squared will give me an x squared. Next, I go down to let's go to the x's. So you have a minus 5x, and you have a 4x, negative 5x plus 4x will give me negative x. And then last I have, let's pick a new highlighter. Let's do pink. I have a 6, and I have a negative 6. 6 minus 6 is 0, so really I'm just left with that. And there's nothing else you can do. There's no other way to write it, so we're just going to leave it just like that. Some of you might be thinking you can factor out an x if you wanted to and make it x minus 1. You don't really have to do that. You can leave it just how we have it right now. All right, so that is adding polynomials. So there's other adding ones in here when you get to number 7. It looks like this is an adding one, so you're just going to combine your like terms just like I just showed you. Number 2 is all about subtraction. So we know that knowing like subtracting, we like adding. So this minus out here, I'm going to distribute to everything in here just to make it easier for myself. So I'm going to get 2x to the third plus 5x minus 3. Just rewrite the first term. And then minus 4x minus 3x squared plus x to the third minus 1. So I'm distributing this negative to everything inside that second set of parentheses. Now I got to look for my like terms. I'm going to start with the highest exponent. That's 2x to the third. And x to the third, when you combine them, we get 3x to the third. Move down to your x squared. So it looks like we have a negative 3x squared, and it's the only x squared term, so I'm just going to write negative 3x squared. Next one down, let's go to my x terms. So my x terms are going to be 5x minus 4x is just an x. And then my constants, which have no variables at all, I have a minus 3 and a minus 1, and that gives me minus 4. Nothing else you have to do. We're not going to factor this or anything yet. You're just going to leave it just like that. So that takes care of adding and subtracting. Let's move on to multiplying, which will be the last thing for this video. When you're multiplying, it's going to be exactly like you've always done. For number 3, you're going to multiply the coefficients. So we get 3 times negative 2 gives me a negative 6. X to the fourth and x to the third gives me x to the seventh, because we always add our exponents when we're multiplying two things at the same base. For number 4, I have to take this 3x squared, and you probably guessed we have to distribute it in. So when I multiply the first term, I get 6x to the fourth. When I distribute to the second term, I get minus 9x to the third. When I distribute to the third term, I get minus 18x squared. No need to factor out a GCF because that would take you right back to where you started. For number 5, you know that I would freak out if you distributed that exponent. So we need to rewrite it, and then we're going to FOIL. I'm going to trust that you know how to FOIL this and move on to the next example. Just make sure you FOIL when you get to number 9. Yes, it looks familiar. It's the same question. Don't tell anyone. Last one. I give you x minus 3 and then x minus 2 squared. Now you will realize that you're going to have to write this out in 3 terms just like this. From there, you're going to have to multiply twice. So let's FOIL the first two terms. Let's just look at these terms for now. That will give me x squared. That's my first outer, minus 2x minus 3x is my inner, plus 6. I'm going to combine, and then we still have that times x minus 2 again. I'm going to combine my like terms right here to clean this up a little bit. And that gives me x squared minus 5x plus 6. And now I'm going to multiply this by x minus 2. Now to do that, we're going to have to distribute. So I'm going to switch around the order on you a little bit. Rather than distributing the x squared to the x and the minus 2, and then the minus 5x to the x and the minus 2, I'm going to distribute from the back forward. You could do either way. You're going to get the same answer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this x. Oh, that's a little bold. I'm going to distribute this x right here to all of my terms. And then once I do that, I'm going to distribute the negative to all the terms, and then we'll combine our like terms at the end. So let's go with red like we have been. When I distribute first the x, I get x to the third minus 5x squared plus 6x. And now I'm going to take this negative 2, I'm going to distribute that to everything. So that's going to give me minus 2x squared plus 10x minus 12. Now you multiplied everything out, and we wouldn't lead our answer like that, so you're going to combine your like terms. When I combine my like terms, let's use, there's the weather update for you guys. Let's use darker blue. I only have one x to the third term. If I look for my x squareds, I have minus 5x squared, and I have minus 2x squared. That gets me minus 7x squared. My 6x and my 10x gets me 16x. And then I think the only constant I have is a minus 12, and that's my final answer. There's nothing else you can do there. So if you look at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, you're going to do those all on your own. Make sure you remember to distribute all the time. Distribute this minus through. When we get to number 10, you would want to FOIL these two things is what I would do first, and then distribute that x at the end. When you get to number 12, you want to think of it as this: x squared plus 2x plus 1 times x squared plus 2x plus 1. And I guess I can show you this one. I'm going to take the x squared and I'm going to distribute it to everything, which gives me x to the fourth plus 2x to the third plus x squared. I'm going to take the 2x now and distribute it to everything. That gets me, let's use a different color. That gets me 2x squared plus, 2x to the third plus 4x squared. If I distribute to the 2x plus a 2x. And then last, when you distribute this 1, if you think about distributing a 1, you're just going to get the same number back out. So when I distribute the 1, I get to x squared, 2x, and 1. So plus x squared plus 2x plus 1. And then you guessed it, you're going to combine your like terms from here. So once you get up to number 12, stop, check your answers, make sure you're good. They're all going to be on Schoology. And then you can move on to the next section, which is going to be another video from me on dividing polynomials.